You've taken the steps because you found certain challenges with recruiting staff, members of staff. What would you say has been the major problem, especially what have you noticed in terms of having content to pass on to the students?
There has been a problem with content. I must confirm that. Because you have a varied strategy, even of degree award from one university to the other. If you go to a US type university, you spend 2 years, for instance, just doing nothing but coursework before you go into your research. If you go to a European type university, which is very common in Nigeria, there's no coursework. They only have seminars, and you go from time to time. A lot of time people don't go to the seminars, which means people just dig down on the research that they are doing. They have become very deep experts on a very narrow confine, and they don't have the breadth of knowledge that it takes to really carry on. What that means is that if they veer a little bit off from their subject of specialization, they're completely helpless. They're clueless as to something else. And more, you'll find that in this age of globalization, there's very little knowledge that is just narrow and deep. People are more versatile, which means you have a plurality of specialization. It's the people that have a broader view that actually can do more, because just a narrow specialty does not really get you anywhere these days. And for research, you are discovering that you have a collaboration of more.
So what would you be recommending, say, at the colleges of education that we have in Nigeria? What changes would you be hoping to see so that the quality of personnel would be, will I say, broader in perspective?
The methodology that's been imparted in the colleges of education, for instance, I believe that methodology need to be upgraded, because a lot of times you discover that people are still actually pursuing and they are driving the methodologies that have been demoted, completely expired. Nigeria is the only place where you see that professors still come to conferences and they're still looking for papers to distribute. And when you go overseas, even the instruction is done by smart boards and assignments. You have apps. I had a professor recently, well, not too recently, maybe 5 years ago, that failed a student because the student turned in the result of their work on SPSS, which is a software package, and he wanted them to do it by hand calculation. And it was like, wait a minute, where have you been? So when the quality assurance brought it up, we had to have somebody else evaluate what the student did, and the student did exceptionally well. But if you didn't have this kind of checks and balances, that professor would still be insisting that everything had to be manually done, because he has not been able to move from where he was when he got his PhD in 1971.
If I may come in here, are you not worried that that technology might be draining the intellect of the child, in terms of that the fact that everything has to be done electronically? It's taking away the art of writing, and many people are worried that nobody writes anymore.
But the question is, what really is the benefit of writing? Is writing not about communication? If writing is about communication, there was a time when there was no writing. There was a time when all the communication, even for instance for the old African, was just audio. They communicated by talking drums, and the messages went across, not face to face, but it went even from one hill, from one village to the other. Right now you are talking about internet, and you are getting a lot more information passed across faster and a lot more accurate. What is the essence of handwriting, for instance, that I was so pressurized during my graduate work that sometimes My handwriting also was so bad, I would write, and I found it difficult even to reread myself. And then who else would you expect would be able to read? Doctors normally prided themselves in writing something that nobody else could read. I think it's all about communication. How fast, how well, how clearly could you articulate the ideas that you want to communicate to somebody else? Handwriting is good, but sometimes I believe that eventually we might have to leave it to the artist and to the calligraphist.
Interesting.
Okay, I was wondering, Prof. I mean, are there ways where, or do you have modalities that students themselves will evaluate the lecturers?
Oh yes, oh yes. That we have what we call student evaluation of teaching at Babcock. Before the end of every course, the quality assurance people would come in. The teacher would have to leave the class. Then they would just distribute the forms, and students would fill. It evaluates from everything from content to methodology to follow up, and you are able to tell precisely what teachers have the stuff. Because by the time you have 100 students, which is the maximum number that we have in any class at Babcock, you have 100 students evaluating one single teacher. You can tell exactly how that teacher is, and we use it. In the university system, we say that we always evaluate lecturers and professors on teaching, research, and community service. Most of the time, it boils down only to publications. But at Babcock, we bring in the teaching. We want to find out how effectively are you communicating. Don't just come in there, distribute some handouts, and come back to administer the exams. No, you have to be in class because we mark attendance. For a teacher to mark attendance, it means he's got to be there. So the teacher attendance, student attendance, and that means that everybody has to put in their part. In fact, it's the teacher doing his part, parents doing his part, government doing their part, and then the students doing their part. That's how the quality of education can be enhanced.
All right, then Professor James Makinde is the President and Vice Chancellor of Babcock University. We've been talking about what to do to improve the standard of education in the country. Thank you for coming on this morning, Prof.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, that's all we're drawing the curtain today on Sunrise Daily. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
I don't know why it feels like Friday. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Malwe Ogun.
And I'm Neil Taibwe. Thank you for watching.